Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a fascinating look at a universal experience, meeting the parents. The title of our talk is Meeting the Parents, a global ritual of comedy, psychology, and interrogation. Over the next few slides, we'll explore how this moment is experienced around the world, especially within immigrant families balancing tradition and modern dating norms. We'll see how what seems like a simple visit can feel like a border control checkpoint, a polygraph test, and a crime investigation all rolled into one. So, let's get started and dive into this intriguing topic. Let's talk about this viral sketch, How My Parents React to Someone I'm Dating. It really captures this experience with such brilliant accuracy. At first glance, it's hilarious and chaotic, but if you look a little deeper, it reveals some important truths. It sheds light on the cultural expectations that many of us face, the fears that parents often have, and the pressure that comes with introducing a partner to the family. This sketch isn't just humor. It's a reflection of the complex emotions and societal norms that influence our relationships. It ties into the overall theme of how family dynamics and cultural backgrounds shape our romantic lives. Let's break it down like a relationship expert, and like someone who has survived this interrogation personally. Today, I want to walk you through the key points of what an interrogation really involves. First, it's important to understand that an interrogation isn't just about asking questions. It's about the dynamics between the person asking and the person being asked. There are strategies, psychological tactics, and sometimes even emotional games at play. Next, we'll look at how individuals can prepare themselves, understanding their rights, staying calm, and knowing how to respond effectively. And of course, we'll discuss the importance of recognizing when to seek legal help or support. Finally, I want to emphasize that even in high-pressure situations, staying composed and knowing your rights can make a huge difference. Connecting all this back to our overall theme, it's about empowering you with knowledge so you can navigate these challenging moments confidently. Parents often disguise their anxiety through some pretty strange actions. They might be inspecting every tiny detail, analyzing posture, or scanning the environment for signs of danger. It's almost like they're performing their own version of CSI, Child Safety Investigation. What's interesting is that this behavior isn't about checking the time or being punctual. It's about checking him, making sure he's safe, okay, and under control. You might hear a parent say, "No, I'm just checking the time." But really, they're focused on him. It's a subtle yet powerful way of monitoring and protecting. And then there's that moment when Lily introduces her boyfriend, saying, "Mom and Dad, this is him." Instead of warmth or excitement, what you see is awkward silence, suspicious snickers, and even a random camera click. This awkward opening, silent stares, uncomfortable glances, and sudden flashes really captures that feeling of suspicion and unease. It's a classic parental response, often rooted in concern, but it can come across as mistrust or judgment. All of these behaviors tie into the overall theme, how parents' protective instincts can sometimes manifest in these strange, almost theatrical ways. It's their way of trying to ensure everything is okay, even if it feels a bit awkward or over the top. All right, let's look at this slide. Parents often try to appear relaxed, but in reality, every sentence they utter is just a setup for what's coming next. It's like a warm-up routine that's universal among parents. They tend to overpraise their kids, showering them with compliments, but at the same time, they seem to have a bit of an underlying distrust. You can see this in phrases like, "cool guy on Instagram," or "everybody tweeting you, sweeting you." These are meant to praise, but they also subtly highlight the child's social popularity. Then there's "so many friends on the Facebook," which continues this pattern of overpraising. And the key point here is that parents often try to soften the upcoming interrogation with exaggerated compliments. They go into what I call the false compliments phase, repeating "cool guy" over and over. It's almost as if they're trying to convince themselves as much as their kids that everything's fine. This routine reflects a common dynamic, parents overpraising, but underneath, there's a hint of doubt or concern. It's a fascinating dance, really, and it ties into our overall theme of how parental behavior can sometimes mask their true intentions or feelings. In many immigrant households, family origin is more than just a piece of information. It's a core part of their identity. Parents often want to know the boy's history in detail, sometimes down to the exact riverbank where ancestors lived. For them, dating isn't just about romance. It's about succession planning, ensuring the family's future remains secure and connected to its roots. You might hear questions like, "What your job, huh?" Or "You have degree, in what?" These are not just casual inquiries. They're part of a broader check on education and career. Parents want to know which school he attended, what he's studying, and where he's headed professionally. Then there's the family background check. Questions like, "Which side of river? Because this side, wrong side. This side, okay." Or "Where they born? Which part of India? Which village?" reflect a desire to understand exactly where the family comes from, because geographic origins carry significance and pride. They also want to know when he came to Canada, what his parents do, and details about his birth. When is your birthday? What is your star sign? All to get a sense of his background and identity. And of course, they want to confirm his name, especially his last name, to ensure everything aligns with family history. This deep level of inquiry activates a protective instinct. Once the questioning begins, the father often switches into what feels like a one-man immigration office. It's not just about information, it's about safeguarding his daughter. And he'll say things like, "I don't care how cool you are, my job is to protect her." Or, "But this my daughter, okay? I am father, okay?" It's a clear declaration of his role and responsibility. In every culture, there's a moment when the father makes it clear why this meeting is happening. It's the traditional father's declaration and the barrage of questions, an essential part of establishing trust, safety, and family continuity. These questions exist for one reason: to break the boy mentally and emotionally. They start simple with things like, "If I have 24 eggs and I break 2 eggs, how many omelets do I have?" Then they move on to more personal stuff, like, "What's your shoe size?" Or, "How much sugar do you put in your tea?" These are what I call the random questions. And honestly, this is the fastest way to go from the first introduction to imagining hypothetical grandchildren in human history. Next, they ask more serious, future-oriented questions like, "When are you two getting married?" Or, "How many kids do you want?" They even ask, "How are you planning to survive?" By this point, the boyfriend is probably wishing for a fire alarm to go off. That's how intense it gets. They want to know if you drive, how fast you drive, what car you have, what year, how many miles, if you have winter tires, and even if you speak Punjabi. Let me hear. And then they throw in questions about drinking and smoking, just to test your lifestyle habits. This part is really a mix of confusion, curiosity, and sometimes completely irrelevant side quests. They'll ask, "How many brothers and sisters do you have? And are they married? Do they have kids?" And then they hit you with, "You have kids? No, why doesn't your sister have kids?" It's a whirlwind of questions about siblings, marriage, fertility, and the future. All of these questions are designed to probe, to see how you think, how you react, and sometimes just to make you uncomfortable. And that's really the key point. These questions are less about the answers and more about how you handle the pressure. They tie back to the overall theme of understanding what kind of person you're dealing with, how you respond under stress, and how you navigate the chaos. So here we have the Asian or Indian immigrant version of the finale. And of course, no love story, no matter how romantic, can truly survive without some solid financial projections. It's all about planning ahead. You might ask yourself, "What's your savings plan?" Or "What's your backup plan?" These questions are fundamental. They force you to think about your financial stability and preparedness for the unexpected. Then comes the crucial part, the financial examination. And who better to lead that than Paramjeet with his clipboard in hand? In many families, handling food isn't just about taste, It's a moral evaluation. Does he dip a half-eaten samosa back into the chutney? That might be frowned upon. Or maybe, does he play kabaddi? That's a sign of strength and agility. And then there are other questions. Does he eat beef? Because that can be a sensitive topic. Or what about his height? Or if he wears earrings? All these details are scrutinized because, in many families, character is tested through the strangest methods. So, character tests and financial examinations often go hand in hand. They're both about understanding who someone truly is beyond just the surface. It's a comprehensive evaluation, covering morals, habits, and financial reliability. Ultimately, this slide highlights how, in many immigrant families, the process of choosing a partner involves a deep dive into character, finances, and cultural values. Because these elements are all interconnected in building a strong, trustworthy future together. On this slide, we're exploring how approval from parents can often come in strange and unexpected ways. Sometimes, they might initially scare a partner, making them feel like they're under inspection. But then, privately, they might praise that same person, almost like they're collecting a prized possession. It's a kind of approval that's layered and nuanced. Next, let's talk about the first meeting. For parents, it's rarely just casual small talk. Instead, it's more like a psychological assessment in disguise. Every question and glance is about understanding who this person truly is. Cultural identity also plays a big role. Asking about hometowns, villages, rivers, or food isn't just small talk. It's a way for parents to gauge whether this new person can truly fit into the family's ecosystem. It's about connection, belonging, and understanding their place within the cultural landscape. Now, love and fear. These two emotions are often intertwined in this context. Parents interrogate because they care deeply. Their questions, their scrutiny, this is their language of protection, not hostility. It's about wanting to keep their family safe and secure. Beneath the humor of these interactions, there's a deeper truth about immigrant families. They often show a paradox. They might first terrify the partner, then seem to approve of them, only to warn their daughter not to ruin it. It's a complex dance of approval and caution. For example, when a parent says, "Lily, he's a nice boy, I like him. You make sure you don't scare him, I like this one." It's a mix of genuine approval and a cautious warning, reflecting that contradiction. And after the boyfriend leaves, it's often like a job interview for a position he didn't even apply for. The father might say, "Okay, thank you, we'll call you. Bye-bye." But it's all part of that intense, sometimes confusing process. Finally, after hours of questioning, the father might suddenly stand up, an abrupt, confusing ending. It's this ultimate contradiction, showing warmth and approval, then quickly closing the door on it all. It's a reflection of how complex and layered parental approval can be in these families. They like him, they just don't want him to know that yet. And in the end, no matter how intense the interrogation, the outcome is often the same. Parents react with suspicion, love, panic, tradition, and hope all at the same time. When you bring someone home, you're not just introducing a partner. You're also presenting a future possibility, a potential new family member, and a piece of your identity. How my parents react to someone I'm dating is actually hilarious because it's so true. Whether you're Indian, Asian, African, Middle Eastern, or from any tight-knit culture, you've probably lived some version of this moment. It's really a universal story of love and chaos, showing how different cultures experience similar emotions when it comes to relationships. So, throughout this presentation, we've seen how these reactions reflect both love and concern, and how they shape our understanding of family, tradition, and identity.